to the clubhouse and he didn't have a uniform. He couldn't figure it out. Where's my uniform? And so he goes up and he talks to Mr. Steinbrenner about where's his uniform. And Mr. Steinbrenner looks at him and he says, son, you need a haircut. He said, you get that haircut and we'll get that uniform and all straightened out for you. It'll be waiting for you. And Lou Piniella responds in Lou Piniella-ish style, of course. Jesus Christ was a really great guy, Mr. Steinbrenner. He had long hair, and I don't see anything wrong with me wearing long hair. And Steinbrenner takes him over to the window and points out to the Hudson River, and he says, you see that water out there, son? And Lou Piniella says, yes. He said, I tell you what, when you can walk there and back on that water like Jesus Christ, then I'll let you wear your hair long. Well, that's Piniella's story. Of course, the rest of the story is he got his hair cut, and he went on to have great years as a New York Yankee. Doyle and Piniella described the 1978 team. That's the year the Yankees trailed by 14 and a half games to the Red Sox in the standings. And a couple of things they brought up. The first thing, the theme with them was, it was never we were 14 and a half games back. It was we took it one day at a time. We took it one game at a time. And the Yankees, as you know, charged back. They talked about the Murderer's Row type weekend in Fenway where they go in and just absolutely annihilate the Red Sox, winning 3 in a row late in the season. They talked about the playoff game with the Red Sox and the World Series with the Dodgers. A couple of notes from that is that, Lou Piniella made this observation I thought was really good. Lou Piniella, a great hitter. Bucky Dent, the shortstop, a great shortstop, but not so much a great hitter during his career. But the two things that a lot of Yankee fans connect with Lou Piniella and Bucky Dent are the opposite of what they were known for. Lou Piniella is known for a great catch at Fenway Park, not his hitting, where he caught a ball in the sun to preserve a Yankee win in that 1978 playoff game. And, of course, Bucky Dent's known for the 3-run homer off of Mike Torres that propelled the Yankees to the World Series and ALCS championship. So, Dent, known for his glove, is remembered for a home run, and Piniella, a great hitter, known for a great catch. That's baseball, right? That's just how it goes. The other thing that we talked about, I got to tell this funny story. We'll get back to some fantasy news. Mickey Rivers, who is one of my great friends, he, in fact, is the one who invited me to fantasy camp, or rather to OldTimers weekend this weekend, and I got to spend some time with Mickey, as always, and enjoyed some laughs. In fact, on our bus ride back from the dinner, Ron Guidry and Mickey entertained us all by telling stories. But here's a great Mickey story. I got a lot of these, but one of the best ones, they're playing a game. I assume this is a spring training game. I assume, because George Steinbrenner calls down and tells Billy Martin that he had some friends coming to the game and he wanted to make sure the starting lineup was out there that night. So I assume that means it was a spring training game. It may not have been, but at any rate. So Mickey got some money, put some money in the back of his pocket, right? And he's on first base, and Thurman Munson gets a hit in the gap, and Mickey's getting to second base, and the money flies out of his pocket. And Mickey stops midstream, play in progress, to pick up his money before he proceeds on to third base. And there's a lot more alliteration to that, but that's the gist of it. Great weekend, great stories. These guys, I had a few opportunities throughout the weekend to talk to all of them. David Wells was there. Willie Randolph was there. Paul O'Neill. Yesterday at the game, they honored some of the widows of the Yankees. So it's just a great occasion. If you're ever able in New York during OldTimers Day weekend to go watch the game, I strongly encourage it. And during the game itself, it was Mariano Rivera made his return to Yankee Stadium, his first OldTimers Day. Yeah, Mariano Rivera. He came in and pitched, but what he's known for yesterday, he had an inside-the-park home run. Yeah, right there at a Yankee Stadium, Mariano Rivera, an inside-the-park homer in the OldTimers game. Wow, what a game. And Lenny, you mentioned Derek Jeter earlier. No, he was not at the OldTimers game. In fact, you could probably ask me players, I could tell you they weren't there instead of they were there. Off of that 98, 99, 2000 team, Bernie Williams was present. I will tell you that, and Bernie, very gracious. I think I posted a picture with Bernie on the in the chat room this morning, but Derek Jeter was not there. And my question would be, next year Derek Jeter goes into the Hall of Fame, and no doubt, and will he come back as Rivera did this year to participate in Old Timers Day? And the other thing the Yankees do, I think, is unique at Old Timers is they announce players. This is probably not a fair characterization, but it's my characterization in terms of Yankee relevance. From the more relevant player, more prolific player as a Yankee, you are announced last. So we got down to the last three chairs yesterday, and here's the order. It went Reggie Jackson, and then Mariano Rivera, and then they recognized Whitey Ford. I'm not sure why, but Reggie Jackson did not go out. The widows, they were honoring Helen Hunter and Diana Munson, Mel Stoudemire's widow, and Kay Mercer. I think there was one more. Yeah, Billy Martin's widow, Jill. So they're in the middle of the group, and all the players go out and hug the widows and then sit down. Reggie didn't do that. And I don't know why he didn't, but he didn't. And the other thing Reggie did, and I think he's known as being somewhat aloof, if you will. Reggie goes out and takes his chair and moves it back. And he doesn't sit even in a row with the other players. He moves it back as if he's on his own second row. Weird. Absolutely weird. But at any rate, great weekend. Again, if you get the chance to ever watch Old Timers or participate in that, I strongly suggest you go do it. Okay. How about some action, fantasy news, some fantasy action? Are you ready for that? Let's give it a shot. So let's look at tonight's games. It's a short Monday slate. All games are evening games. There are no afternoon games this Monday. The first game let's talk about, why not? Let's talk about Toronto. The Blue Jays are in Yankee Stadium in the Bronx taking on CC Sabathia. It will be for the Rays, Aaron Sanchez, who is 3-9 with a 5.49 ERA, going up against CC Sabathia, 4-4 with a 4.14 ERA. As far as hitters against these pitchers, and I'm looking again at players with 10 at-bats or more, Didi Gregorius, he is 6 for 16 off of Sanchez in his career. He has a triple. That's a 375 average, a 625 slugging percentage. Didi is playing regularly now since he's back from his injury. I think the thing with Didi Gregorius that concerns me, though, if there is a concern, is he's still not quite in that rhythm. Last year he came out spring training hot the first month of the season. Last year in April, nobody hotter than Didi Gregorius, really. He just hasn't clicked it in yet, but he's at home tonight against a not-so-good starting pitcher. Didi could very well, with the left-handed split against the right-handed pitcher, have a big game. Look for Didi Gregorius tonight in your lineups. He's had good success career-wise against Aaron Sanchez. For the Rays, Teoscar Hernandez is 3 for 10 in his career off of Sabathia with a home run. He's playing every day. He had a good series this past weekend. I like Teoscar Hernandez, and I also like Randall Grichuk. 3 for 11, that's a 273 average, but the thing I like about those 3 hits, 2 of them against Sabathia have been home runs. So I like those 2 players. They've had a little bit of history here. For active Blue Jay players against CC Sabathia, all active players are hitting 312 career against CC Sabathia. So, it may be a short night for CC. Now, let's see how he plays. I watched him yesterday at the stadium. He threw pre-game and looked pretty good, looked relaxed, threw the ball hard. So he looks to be, maybe he had a cranky knee. I hope that's past him. We'll see. Toronto at the Yankees tonight at Yankee Stadium. The Mets, they are at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia tonight, and Steven Matz will be going for the Metropolitans against Zach Eflin for the Phillies. And we've got a little bit of history here to talk about 10 or more at-bats. First of all, Scott Kingery has 4 hits off of Matz. And, Kingery's had a big year so far. Let's look also at Cesar Hernandez, who's 5 for 11 off of Mats. That's a 455 average. Realmuto's 4 for 13. That's a 308 average. Now, two players who don't fare so well against Mats. Rhys Hoskins, 2 for 13 with a 154 average. Bryce Harper, 4 for 19. No home runs off Mats, only hitting 211 in his career against Steven Matz. The Mets now against Eflin, Ahmed Rosario is 5 for 11, 3 doubles. That's a 455 average in his career off of Eflin. So that's certainly, and the thing about Rosario, he's hot and he's cold, as Katy Perry would say, but he's heating it up a little bit. And I like Rosario tonight in that game at Citizens Bank Park. I usually like games at Philadelphia anyway. The ballpark factor is huge for me there. And watch for some runs being scored there tonight. Both ways, really, I think. The White Sox are against the Red Sox. So it's a Sox kind of night at Fenway tonight. Giolito had probably his worst outing of the year his last time out. And now he goes back to the team that drafted him and pitches against the Red Sox and Eduardo Rodriguez at Fenway Park tonight in Boston. There are no real good stats, 10 at-bats or more for Red Sox hitters. I will give you this. Just consider the sample size is very, very small. Mookie Betts is 3 for 5 in his career off of Giolito. And against the White Sox, James McCann, 3 for 13 off of Rodriguez with 2 home runs. And that's why I give you that. He does have 2 home runs off Erod. So if there's a catcher that you are considering in daily today, it could be James McCann. Because games are at night, you got a while to look before lineups lock, I guess. Make sure if you're playing daily, McCann's in your lineup. He's probably a catcher you might want to consider adding tonight. At Progressive Field tonight, Kansas City invades Cleveland. It's going to be Keller against Plutko. And hitting-wise, there's just not a good sample size there. Keller is 3-9. Plutko 3-1 on the season. That's a 7-10 start in Cleveland tonight. The Atlanta Braves, they go to Chicago to the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. Julio Teheran, who is 5-5, will square off against John Lester, who is 6-5 on the season. And here we go with some sample sizes. I got you a few, okay? Kyle Schwarber, 10 at-bats, 4 hits off of Teheran. That's that lefty-righty combination. Players who haven't done so well, and actually Teheran has fared well against some of these big bats for the Cubs. Carlos Gonzalez, if he plays, is only 1 for 17 in his career off of Teheran. Chris Bryant is only 1 for 14 off of Teheran. Anthony Rizzo, 4 for 20. He does have a home run. Daniel Descalso, only 3 for 12. That's probably the second best hitter on the team if he plays. Now, Descalso is a lefty, so he may get that split shift playing time tonight facing off against a right-hander. But the big bats, Bryant, Russell, Baez, only 1 hits in their career off of Tehran. He's been pitching pretty well this year overall, better than last. And he usually pitches better on the road than he does at home. So let's see how Tehran does. I don't really like those Cub hitters tonight against him. For the Braves against John Lester, here you go. And this is a very small sample size, but it, as they say, it don't get no better than this. Are you ready? Ozzie Albies, 5 at-bats against Lester, 5 hits against Lester, and a home run. Now, I know that's only 5 at-bats, but I am saying Ozzie Albies is my player of the day today. That's right, my player of the day today against John Lester, because he's never gotten him out. I don't care what the sample size is. He's 5 for 5, okay? Matt Joyce, if he plays, doubt he will because it's a lefty on lefty. He's 5 for 15 in his career. Brian McCann has 4 hits and 10 at-bats against Lester. Freddie Freeman, I always love Freddie Freeman, 6 for 22. That's a 273 average, but 2 of those 6 have been home runs. And then we got Nick Markakis, 22 for 92. That's a 239 average. Markakis, I don't really like Markakis, not a lot of power. And against the lefty, I'm not really feeling it. Check the wind conditions, though, because that wind is blowing out at Wrigley. That may be a consideration, right?
The Rockies